In the background here is a compost pile that I've got going. Right now I'm taking an online permaculture course through Jeff Lawton, and he taught me how to do this composting method. And I did originally start with materials that were being anaerobically composted, so it's not raw materials. And equal portions of wood chips and the county compost with sheep manure, and then I had a hand scythe and I went around and I harvested some of the yarrow and goldenrod in the area, green material, and I mixed those three together, and in the center of it I actually put a big wad of comfrey leaves that had been comfrey plants that had been destroyed in the hail that I had here recently. And the first day, or the first period, I left the whole thing together. I mixed it all up as I put it together, and I left it be for 4 days, and I've been turning it every 2 days since. And it's rather a miracle how this stuff is already turning to soil. This is day 12. And I've got 2 more turns to do other than today, but I think it's getting pretty close to being ready now because I started with material that was kind of pre-composted. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take the top layer around the compost heap first, and I'm going to put that in the center. And then the center is going to come to the outside, and we're going to be mixing oxygen into the compost pile in this method. And also all the dead bacteria that died because it was exposed to the elements, that'll become food for the next growth of bacteria. So this is the material after 12 days. You see it's real crumbly. It's actually nice and warm. There are wood chips in it. I actually should have used sawdust, but I had some decomposing wood chips, so I went ahead and started using that. And you can see there's a lot of wood chips in the pile yet. I don't know if that would make good material for annual vegetables that require a lot of nitrogen, because as the wood chips are decomposing, they're going to use up the nitrogen. So I'm going to use this for, I'm going to be putting it on I'm actually going to sift it, and then I'm going to put the sifted material on a bed of radishes this year. Now if I was planting beans or peas, it'd probably be fine just the way it is. So it feels so nice and warm, it's actually delightful. I have sandals, and every so often little amount of dirt falls onto my feet, and that feels good too. So this soil is really nice and warm. Look at how crumbly that is. So the beginning of this, these piles, a proper mixture, one that will always work, is mixing a third manure, fresh raw manure, with a third sawdust. And I don't know, maybe walnut sawdust probably wouldn't be that good because there's a allelopathic chemical in walnut that slows down the growth of other things. So maybe you want to stay away from the walnut, maybe the cedar, but all the other sawdust. And then a third, green material. Now Jeff Lawton made mention of two plants that have a lot of minerals in them, and that's comfrey and yarrow. And I'm sure a lot of most of the wild weeds have different mineral structures to them, and I think all those weeds would be good to be your green material. So I just have a hand scythe and I go around and I just cut them down. Let them get a little bigger, but it doesn't take long. You can get a big handful of weeds like that, And in this case, I didn't even chop it up. I just threw it all in there, big stems and all. And this is day 12, and there's hardly any stems left. I could certainly see 2 more compost turnings, and there's not going to be anything left of those stems. And a lot of the twigs, actually, the wood chips, they're gone too. There's only the very largest ones are left. Who knows, maybe in another 2 more turnings, even those will be gone. We'll see. This is what I'm making. Look at that. You feel it's kind of wet. When you squeeze it hard, you can almost feel some water come out of it. Look at that. So you can see this is one of the larger twigs in the wood chips, and there really isn't any decomposing going on there, so I'll have to sift that out of it. But it was a rather old wood chip pile, and when I got it from the county, it was actually already steaming, so it was already composting. Right here, you can see some of the stems in it from that bigger material, and it's going away. There's another wood chip. Look at that. So if you look, you can see I'm building this pile up. It's going to be between 1 meter and 1.5 meters high. If you go any higher than that, you're going to cut off the oxygen to the center of the compost pile. And you really don't want to do an anaerobic compost pile, because the bacteria in the anaerobic piles can't live in your soil. Can't live with your garden vegetables, because it gets oxygen and it'll kill it. So this is why we're turning it. We're making an anaerobic compost pile, and now all that bacteria and all those little microscopic organisms like protozoa, when you spread it on your soil, it's actually going to incorporate right in your soil. And why that is so important is because your garden plants don't absorb nutrients straight up. What they're doing is they're absorbing the nutrients after it passes through the micro life in the soil. So it's living off of the micro life nutrients, the micro life excrements. So you can see it's a pile that high, and I'm doing a gravity pile where it all just kind of flows off, and I'm not going to build it up anymore. Once it gets to a certain peak, it's going to fly off the sides or roll off the sides, and it's going to build up naturally. And that way we're going to get that oxygen into the center of the pile. There, now you see I put a few sticks that had multi-branches on them over the top of the pile, and then I put that reflective tarp over the top. I don't want the compost pile to dry out, and because that tarp is on top of the sticks, it's going to leave an airspace between the tarp and the compost pile, giving enough oxygen to the surface of the pile. So that's it. Well, it took me 30 minutes, 1/48 of a day. Not too bad. And we're gonna go check the next one.